everybody would love to live in that dream home and might think about it from time to time what that would be like. But there are some people, and they actually make the decision, we're gonna build it. You know, we're gonna build the home, we're gonna create that space. We don't wanna look back with any regrets that we just settled for average, and that's what we're all about. That's what Abacus does. We make furniture for those people.
So the challenge with a dining table, for example, is that it's gonna sit right at the center of this dream space that you're creating. So it kind of needs to embody all of the details of that space, all of the small decisions that you've made to create this space. Kind of don't really mean anything if you get the centerpiece wrong. And it also needs to be something that you love, that perfectly reflects your own style and taste.
That represents the vision that you had, like the dream, in one object, like right at the center of the space, framed by this dream room. But that's not the only challenge. The other challenge is that as a dining table, again, it's the hub of the home. It's the center of every meal, every family gathering, every memorable occasion over the many years that it sits there. That means that you don't want to be worrying about it. It's got to be absolutely stress-free to use. It's got to be space efficient. It's got to be easy to look after. The surface has got to perform at a super high level so that there's no worries whatsoever about people spilling things here and there. So that when it goes back to just being the object that sits at the center of the space, then it remains that sort of pristine piece of personal artwork that you've created.
When we started making furniture, we focused primarily on oak. And I absolutely love oak. I think it's a brilliant material. It's super versatile, it's beautiful, and it works well for a lot of spaces, but it doesn't work. It's not the right choice for every single space and for every person. And over the years, that has basically led us on journeys all over the world to find alternatives.
Yeah, not just alternatives either. The most impressive materials that there are to make furniture from. And I mean, we work with some stones, and you just can't believe that colours that bright and vibrant actually come out of the ground. And slabs of timber, huge slabs of timber that come from Indonesia, where one piece makes up a whole tabletop, and most people have never even seen a piece of timber like that, let alone touched one in the flesh. And when you really do see people's eyes light up when they see that for the first time and realise, oh wow, I can actually have something like this, in the centre of this dream space that we're creating. Choosing the material then that the tabletop's going to be made out of is, going to have a major impact on how that piece of furniture looks. But going from just choosing the material into getting to a finished piece of furniture that warrants sitting in the centre of a dream space is all about the details, the hundreds of decisions that have to be made in putting that piece of furniture together. It's all about the details. That's what matters.
And you wouldn't believe how many details there are on a seemingly simple piece of furniture like a table. But I remember, we have a lot of conversations about this, but I remember one conversation about the roundness of the table edge.
Yeah, you wouldn't even think about it really, but just the roundness of that edge as you go from the tabletop surface to the edge of the table. Well, the more rounded that is, the more kind of clumsy it looks, the less skill it takes to achieve. Whereas the more precision, it's all done by hand, the more precision it is, the tighter that radius on that corner there gives the overall piece of furniture a much more precision feel. And once we kind of understood this, then it carried over into some of the table legs that we make as well. We used to use a kind of mild steel section that's got quite a wide radius on the corner, but then we switched to a different kind of steel which has got a much tighter radius. So our table legs have got a real precision feel about them. For that, you might not even realise where the effect's coming from, but that's what it is. It's in the tightness of those radiuses. And another thing on table legs as well, we used to just use a standard powder coat, which is just a smooth satin finish. But that shows up all of the imperfections in the steel and the manufacturing marks. And we changed that once we discovered a real fine textured powder coat, which gives a slightly matte finish and gives a much more clean, contemporary feel. And the overall feel of the table legs with those two sort of small changes is massive when you look at some of our old projects to our more recent projects.
There's a lot of hidden details as well. It isn't necessarily just about making the finished piece sort of look as good as it can look. It's about keeping it looking that way. For example, the way that we now finish all the cracks in the timber. Yeah, the conventional way of filling cracks is to just put a wood filler in there, and getting the colour right is really important. It's got to match with the natural character features of the wood. But then cracks can open back up because wood filler doesn't hold a crack together. It's just a decorative filler. What does hold them together is a resin, but resin doesn't look like wood filler, so it looks unnatural. So you have to use a process of, and I don't know anyone else who uses this process of, you use a resin to fill the crack and bond it together, and then a layer of wood filler over the top, which makes it look like the character features of the wood. And that process takes about 3 days versus the conventional process, which takes about 15 minutes. And on the face of it, if you had two cracks that were filled in the two different ways, you wouldn't know any difference between our way and the conventional way. But in your home, the conventional way, that crack is going to open back up as that timber starts to acclimatise, and you're going to catch your cloth on it when you're cleaning. It's going to drive you insane. But with our way of doing it, that won't happen. There are so many details like that. We could talk for hours about this, but the stiffness, for example, the finishing process, there are just so many little details. But ultimately, it's about creating something that looks as good as it can possibly look. And that's what all the thousands of refinements and iterations over the years, that's what it's been about. It's been about creating something that looks spectacular and basically lasts you for the rest of your life. As
good as it can be. And anyone who's doing a project or has taken on a project, of creating that dream home or that dream space knows exactly what we're talking about, because we talk to people about it, and as soon as you ask them about the project, they start to tell you about all the decisions, or hundreds of decisions that they're having to make, and all the battles that they're having to have with the contractors and the people that are working with them on the project. And those are the battles that people only have when they care deeply about what they're doing, when they're trying to build a dream and achieve perfection. And that is kind of paralleled with the customer who is trying to create that project and that dream space for the first time, and us trying to create that perfect piece of furniture for their project, and all those thousands of iterations that have happened over the years. We've been making furniture that go into making that piece for them as good as it can be.
What can be difficult about having any custom furniture built is that you don't get to see the thing that you're actually buying because it doesn't exist yet. So it can be quite tricky to have that absolute certainty that you're making the right choices for your space.
And that's something that we've thought about for years, and tried to solve, by showing people drawings and pictures of things similar. But ultimately, we've been able to solve that problem by creating a product builder tool inside our website. And that allows you to see anything that we might be able to make for you in 3D. And then the virtual reality tool inside the product builder allows you to put that product in front of you in your home, and for you to actually be able to see what that looks like in your space.
Being able to try all the different variations that you're considering, and being able to rule out the ones that you don't like so much and rule in the ones that you do, and then just choose the one that you absolutely love and that you're excited about. It changes the the whole experience of buying bespoke furniture.
Yeah, massively. It takes the uncertainty, that feeling of like, is this thing actually going to live up to my expectations? Am I choosing the right thing? It flips that to being a process of a really exciting part of the process of being able to try on anything that we might possibly be able to make you in your home, and that kind of excitement culminates on delivery day when the real object, the real product gets put in front of you in your home for the very first time, and you're able to see it and touch it and enjoy it. And that it's not uncommon that we get tears from customers on delivery day, and I guess that's our story. But our story, I suppose, is not so much our story as it is the stories of all the people that did decide to build their dreams, and are able to, or will be able to, look back on their lives, with a measure of real satisfaction and kind of know, we did it. We built the dream. We didn't settle for average in any way.